Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Fat, Drunk, and Stupid. I'm Rob with you as always, your host, and welcome to year 2 of the podcast. I know, I'm surprised. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit because I haven't done a solo episode in a while. And I've been fortunate enough to pick up quite a few more followers on Twitter and also quite a few more listeners as far as the podcast is concerned. So I want to kind of reintroduce and then talk about some stuff that I have in mind moving forward. So the podcast started September of last year, and it basically started as me just wanting to have an excuse to hang out with friends and have a drink and and just talking bullshit about stuff that we typically talk about. And I did I think 3 episodes last year, and then didn't do anything for a couple months. And then I started back again in April, late April, early May, and decided to make a Twitter. Because before that, I didn't have any social media or anything, and I didn't have any social media for the podcast. And that was a big game changer because I didn't realize there was this huge network of independent podcasts on Twitter. But I get on Twitter and it's like, wow, look at all these people. And the good thing about it is it's everybody is so supportive, and it's just a really cool community kind of thing. And I think it's very timely because with COVID going on, most of us were stuck at home, either working from home or a lot of people were laid off, things like that. But you don't really have a lot of human interaction, right? So it's like everybody's kind of living like in solitary, but Twitter's kind of like our outlet, and podcasting is our outlet. And so that's what the this podcast has kind of become, is me being able to share things that I want to talk about. And that's what I've learned, even as simple as it sounds, is that podcasting is important because it's important to you as the podcaster. You get to talk about what you want to talk about. And I tried some episodes where I tried to talk about things that I thought other people would like to hear. And the end result is I was not very satisfied. And so one thing that I'm going to do moving forward in the new year of the podcast is focus more on things that I really, really want to talk about that's important to me, and hopefully present it in a way that interests other people. And some of the stuff I've talked about, obviously, has been the police stuff. I did a episode a while back called Police Racism, Statues, and Flags. It was a bit of a departure from the other content of the show, which had been, some Army stuff. It'd been some interviews, some different guests talking about some movies, TV shows, sharing some stories of my Army buddy, Casey, just different things like that. But what I found was getting into something like the police stuff was I felt good after it. I felt relieved. I felt like this burden was kind of lifted off of me, because you walk around with that stuff inside, and then you finally have a way to get it out, right? You finally have an outlet. You finally have a way to talk about things and get it out, and it puts it out there for other people to listen to, for other people to react to, and give you feedback on, and that helps you learn and grow as a person. It's not good to be stuck with your own thoughts all the time, trust me. But that's one of the reasons why I started a podcast, was personal enjoyment, and to be able to talk about things that were important to me and share it with people and also connect with people. The network of podcasters on Twitter has been, supportive. It just doesn't even cover it. There's so many great shows out there, and so many of you listening right now who I interact with on Twitter. And it's not just, it's not just we have a podcast, I'll retweet your stuff. But you actually have conversations with each other, actually make friendships, and hear about each other's kids and each other's families and each other's jobs and all this kind of stuff, and other interests that you have other than podcasting. And I think it's a really great thing. I think it's really cool, and I think it's very helpful for a lot of people. I'm very fortunate to be able to have a platform, to be able to talk to people, to be able to connect with people. Just this week, I'm guesting on 6 different podcasts, and I just got done guesting on a really, really fantastic podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. But that stuff to me is a lot of fun. It's enriching, and it's great, right? It's a really cool thing. And something I think is difficult when it comes down to podcasting is trying to balance between entertaining people and then talking about something that maybe is a heavier topic, or something that may be not as fun, not as glamorous. And a lot of people certainly look to podcasts to listen to something that takes their mind off of what's going on, right? This past year has just been one shit sandwich after another. That's just, that's just kind of how it's been, unfortunately. And so some people look to podcasts as an escape. Obviously, they want to hear about movies or video games or books or TV shows or true crime. I feel bad for true crime podcasts. Like, nobody likes true crime. So, but you guys keep plugging away, hang in there. But the, it's a weird balance, I think. I think probably most people who have a podcast probably go through that. There's been people with podcasts who have been told, don't get political. Stop being political. I'm not here to hear your political stuff. Well, guess what? I mean, everything now is political. So you don't really have a choice. And I think if it's important to you, try to use your podcast to fulfill whatever it is that you need to talk about. I'll give an example of what happened to me. I did an episode on the Memorial Day episode. I talked about military movies, books, video games, comics, TV shows, stuff like that. And I tweeted out for people to name their favorites, and I would read them during the episode. The nice thing was the tweet got a lot of reactions and a lot of comments, which is always nice, and it was really cool to see that. But the bad thing is I ended up reading all these, and it took up pretty much like 45 minutes, because I was just like, at so-and-so says Saving Private Ryan, at so-and-so says, this, says that. And there were a couple things that I personally wanted to talk about that were important to me, but I ran out of time. And when it was done, I sat and thought about it, and I thought, you know what? That did not fulfill the purpose that I want for a podcast. That's not the reason why I want to have a podcast. And I learned something from that, and I see podcasters who start like a second show where it's focused on something that's important to them and they want to talk about. And I think that's important, and I applaud that. And that's fantastic. Being able to be creative and being able to have these ideas in your head and be able to put them into action is difficult, but it's also very fulfilling. Being able to create, being able to make something, and being able to share it with people. It's also kind of nerve-wracking because you're putting yourself out there. You're putting your voice out there, and your ideas and your thoughts and opinions, and you hope that people enjoy it and get something out of it. I certainly do. I hope people get something out of it. I've had episodes where, it's just drinking and bullshitting and such, and people like that. It kind of, that's an example of, having something that kind of takes people's minds off of things. But then I also have some that get into some heavier stuff, which I have before, and I will continue to do so. So, you can't let people, you can't please everybody. You try to please everybody, and the only person that ends up unhappy is you. And that's an old cliche, but it really stands true. So going into year 2, I'm really excited for several reasons. Number one, I would like to work with more podcasters. So if you're listening to this and you're a podcaster and you be interested in coming on the show or collabing on something, please let me know. I'm on Twitter at FDS Podcast 7, as you may or may not know, and also FDS Podcast 7 at gmail.com if you want to email me. Part of that too is I have a YouTube channel for the show, Fat Drunk Stupid, and also Twitch, Fat Drunk Stupid Pod. So I'm going to start incorporating video, especially when I have a guest. I'm going to do a video, record the episode, put the video up on YouTube and Twitch, and then also post the audio as a podcast. And I'm going to start doing live shows, probably about once a month is what I'm looking at. I'm still doing some homework on that, on the nuts and bolts of it and everything about as far as what to use and the best methods. And I've been doing some testing. But I'm really excited about that. So I want to get people involved and really, want people to interact, pop in and chat and just hang out and have a good time. So those are all things that I'm looking forward to. And, I hope that if you're listening for the first time, I hope you'll go back and listen to some old episodes. The show is available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And just recently, is on Amazon, as a lot of people are, which was kind of cool to see. And so moving forward, I hope you'll stick with us and stick with us and kind of see what happens. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, though. I mean, no matter what, I'm gonna try to have fun and also try to get something from it if we can. So, all right. So that's that. What I've been up to lately. I had a birthday back on September 5th, and that was a Saturday. So my wife and I worked out a deal for our 3-year-old to go over to the in-laws, and so we took her over there and had my birthday lunch, and then left the 3-year-old there to stay with them the rest of the day and the night. And we came back and got in our pool, and I had a couple beers, had a cigar, came in, cleaned up, had about a 2-hour nap on the couch, which was nice. My wife sat there and she just rested and watched like Real Housewives or something like that. We ordered a metric shit ton of food from one of our favorite local restaurants here, Wilder's Steakhouse, which is delicious. So it's steak and all kinds of good food. And had some wine. And we watched 2 movies. We watched the Bill and Ted movie, which was really, really, a really great movie. I mean, I was a little nervous about Bill and Ted, mainly because it's been so long. And Keanu Reeves has kind of, I feel like he's gotten away from the Keanu Reeves, like, whoa, dude character he was in all those movies back in, like, Bill and Ted and Parenthood and even in The Matrix a little bit. He still had that whoa kind of thing, and, like, Point Break and stuff like that. So I was a little nervous when I saw the trailer, but we got it and watched it, and it was great. It was just a good, fun movie, and that's something. Fun has been kind of in short supply, I think, this summer and this year with everything that's been going on. And then we wanted to watch something we hadn't seen in a while, so we watched Men in Black, and that's also just a really good, fun movie, and neither of us had seen that for probably a couple of years, so we watched that, Men in Black, and so it was fun. It was a good, fun, relaxing day, under non-coronavirus circumstances. We probably would have went out to eat. But, picking it up and being at home was nice too, and I think maybe, if anything, from this, from being stuck at home with coronavirus and quarantine and things like that, my wife and I have tried to take away, kind of being able to enjoy more simpler things, and being okay with that and not feel like we have to go places and not feel like we have to go somewhere, cooking more at home. I have a grill and a charcoal smoker, so I'll smoke some meat or cook something on the grill, and just being able to enjoy that kind of stuff, because plus, I mean, you have, if you're like us, I mean, you have every streaming service known to man. So you have like a gajillion things to watch, even though usually we say there's nothing to watch. And we watch kind of the same stuff quite a bit. But I usually try to watch a movie or two a week, And what's funny is that my wife has no idea what movies are out at any given moment. So I'll just say, hey, let's watch this movie. And she'll say, okay. So then we'll watch it. And we also recently finally watched Mission Impossible Fallout. And that was a really good movie, too. That's just such a good, well done movie, man. I don't know. The action is so cool, Tom Cruise is just a machine. I mean, the guy is still running his ass off. He's probably, I don't know how old Tom Cruise is. He's got to be late 50s, right? At least mid to late 50s, maybe, or maybe like 60. How old is he? Okay, I'm gonna Google that right now. Let me Google it. Stick with me here. Talk amongst yourselves while I Google Tom Cruise and his age. Tom Cruise is 58. So yeah, I wasn't too far off. But I've always loved all those Mission Impossible movies, and they're just really good. It's a good fun movie. Really cool action spots, crazy stunts, all kinds of stuff, action packed kind of thing, and it was really nice. It was really cool to sit and watch that. We're kind of kicking around the idea of going through the Marvel movies from start to finish. Now, there's some I haven't seen. I haven't seen either Ant-Man movie. I have not seen Black Panther. I have not seen Captain Marvel. I haven't seen. I think there's another one in there that I didn't see. But anyway, we're thinking about going back through those at some point. Maybe watching one or two a week, and going back through the whole thing there. So we'll see if that actually happens. I don't know. Currently, what are we watching? Oh, my wife's watching Shaws of Sunset. If you ever watched that, it's one of those reality shows. And believe it or not, I've actually kind of gotten into it a little bit myself. I hate to even admit it, but we're kind of kicking around an idea where we talk about reality TV and these shows on an episode occasionally, just something fun to kind of mix it up a little bit. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in that. We'll see what happens. But other than that, I've been working. I work from home. For those of you that may not know, I work from home. I started a new job actually at the end of March 23rd. And I'm very, very fortunate for many reasons. But one reason is I started this new job, and pretty much everybody in my old job got laid off like a week after I started this job. So I'm really, really very fortunate to be able to have worked through this, to have worked for a really great company, to be able to work from home and still have that. There's so many people that don't, and I certainly do not take it for granted one bit. And I'm kind of conflicted sometimes, because sometimes I get aggravated with it or get frustrated, and you think, well, during this time of a pandemic when so many people don't have a job, should I really complain at all? Yeah. Is it okay to be frustrated with your work? Is it okay to be to have a bad day, or to look forward to being off work, and it's been a little extra challenge too, because going into this new job, it's, I had to basically learn everything from home and not be in that office environment where I could be with people on my team and kind of have that closeness. I haven't met any of these folks. We've been working together since March, and I've only talked to them through Microsoft Teams. So, we're looking at getting back in the office in January, maybe. So I am looking forward to that somewhat, to be able to get into the office environment and to be able to meet these folks that I work with every day would be nice. And it's also a really great office environment too. That was one of the things that attracted me to apply for them, is the atmosphere and the culture at the company. So, I hope we'll be able to make that. We'll see. But it's one of those things that I know that people are very people are very fearful and anxious there's so much uncertainty because we don't have a finish line for the coronavirus. We don't have a day where we can look at and say, okay, we just got to make it till this day, and then we don't have to worry about this anymore. And this is kind of unprecedented for us. I don't know. I may be wrong, but I think maybe the last time we had a widespread pandemic like this was probably the Spanish flu. I know we've dealt with swine flu and bird flu and H1N1 and all this kind of stuff, but I think this has got to be probably the worst in such a short amount of time, I would imagine. So for my part, I'm not ashamed to say that my ass has been staying home. We use Instacart and get groceries delivered, which we were using that before COVID, so we kind of had a head start on that. Not going to the grocery store and just having somebody bring it. So we're kind of ahead of the curve on that, and we've just been, being at home. We have a 3-year-old daughter, and so we've been home with her, and she goes over to the grandparents and gets to hang out a couple days a week. And I just think it's really important. I wanted to be able to also mention mental health is extremely important. And so you need to really, find ways to take care of yourself. And I know that things get very heavy. The news is usually not very good news. There's always a crisis every day. There's something going on a daily basis that gets thrown in our face, either on Twitter or somewhere else. And then you just feel like, man, come on, I just encourage you to find some time during the day to do something you really enjoy, even if it's just for a half hour, read a book that you've been wanting to read. If you're into comics, grab a comic. If you're into video games, play a video game. If you go for a walk or, veg out for 30 minutes and play a game on your phone or anything, anything something that you enjoy that's healthy, that you can just kind of take a mental break, take a break from social media. I do that sometimes. I have days where I delete the Twitter app off my phone. That way I don't get on Twitter for like a day or two or however long. Just because, I'm like, well, I need a break. And I try to stick to podcasting on Twitter. It's difficult. Like, if anybody listening follows me on Twitter has seen the stuff I tweeted recently, I tweeted about 9/11 a little bit. There was some stuff being said on 9/11 that I took issue with. There was the incident in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where a guy had a knife and charged at a police officer. A police officer had to shoot him, unfortunately. And so we had protests happening from there and a lot of really bad information. So I felt compelled to tweet about it. I did lose a couple followers. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I don't go out of my way to be offensive. I don't go out of my way to try to mess with people. I just try to look at things through some sort of lens of rationality and try to find out, instead of reacting to a headline, let's try to gain more information. And let's try to look at what's really going on here. And that can apply for anything, not just a police incident, but anything in the news. I encourage you to go past the headline, read about it, and educate yourself on it. And I think that's part of how you grow and how you learn, right? So I'm really excited to be able to bring more content and to be able to interact with more people. I already have some guests lined up coming up. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have really 5 guests on the calendar right now for the next couple weeks, and also guesting on other podcasts. So keep a lookout for that. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for supporting the show. I wanted to get year 2 started and really kind of reintroduce myself and reintroduce the show, mainly because, I'm so fortunate to have, picked up quite a few Twitter followers, in the past couple months, and the listeners have been going up. Each episode has been increasing, which is a good thing. I really, really, truly appreciate that. And even if one person listened, that makes you feel good, but it's many, many more than one. And I really appreciate it. And I look forward to bringing, things that entertain, but also, at times things that bring up discussion and provoke some thought, and maybe help us all learn and help us understand each other better. I hope so. And who would have thought that a show named Fat, Drunk, and Stupid would be that would have that kind of content? But it just kind of happens. And I think at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself, and speak to what moves you, and speak to what you feel strongly about. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are issues if you are targeting people, and if you're being racist or transphobic or something like that. Those are obviously problems. But you know um, there are times where I want to sit and talk about a movie, or be goofy, and just have drinks and kind of just blow off some steam. But then there's also times where uh, I'm focused in on certain issues or certain aspects of things that are going on, or maybe personal stories of mine. Um, in case you don't know, I was also in the Army. I went to Iraq a couple times. I was airborne infantry. And when I got out of the Army, I went to police work and was a police officer for 9 years. So between the Army and police, I have 15 years of that kind of lifestyle, I guess you could say. And I got out of police work in August of 2015. So you'll probably see me pop up on some shows here talking about my police experience, military experience, and I'll share that stuff too. And also, mental health is also very important to me. It's important to me because I've lost good friends of mine who were out of the Army, and you think that they're safe, and then you come to find out that you lost them, and you don't expect that, because you would expect that maybe in war, but you don't expect that when you think everyone's back home and everybody's safe. So it's important to check on each other, check on your friends, check on people you haven't heard from in a long time, even people on Twitter that you never actually met in person, but you talk to. If you see them, they don't tweet something for a couple days, drop them a message. Hey, just checking in. Everything cool? Or if they tweet that they're having a rough time, or they're taking a break, just sometimes just a word of support, and just a word of saying, hey, look, if you need to talk, I'm here. Or, hey, you know, just stay strong. I'm struggling myself, but let's hang in there. That can make a world of difference to people, so I just like to see that, you know. So this is pretty much the first episode of year two. It was a reintroduction, kind of a rundown. And again, you can find the podcast on Twitter at FDS Podcast 7, YouTube, Fat Drunk Stupid. Fat Drunk and Stupid Podcast, I think, is what it's called. But you just search Fat Drunk and Stupid and it's on there. And then also Fat Drunk Stupid Pod on Twitch. And on the Twitter profile, there's a link tree that has all the links in there for Podchaser, Apple, Spotify, and the show's on all the platforms. So once again, I really appreciate you listening. I appreciate the support, and I'm so excited for year two to get this started. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate your support, and thank you again.